Welcome to the Brand Doctor Podcast, strategies that help entrepreneurs build reputable and profitable brands. Here's your host, Henry Kaminski Jr.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome to another Brand Doctor Podcast episode for you guys. We are also going to do this via Facebook Live. So we will have some guests on Facebook chiming in, asking questions, and participating in this episode. I have an awesome guest today. I have been on a mission to get more female entrepreneurs on the show. And I've just met so many amazing women the past week by interviewing a lot of you guys. And I have to tell you, I'm truly inspired. And it's just amazing how much you learn from guests and their entrepreneurial journeys. I can't even begin to tell you. I may do an episode just on the recap of the amazing women that I just interviewed this week. So without further ado, I want to introduce to you guys an amazing guest who has just an amazing journey. And I told her, we got to come on the show. You got to share this story with us. Welcome to the show, guys. Monica Kline from Identity Management. What's going on?
Hello, how are you?
I'm doing awesome. You're looking like a movie star today. You know.
Thank you. By that, I usually do this with you and like straight from the gym, haven't showered yet.
I love it. Monica's one of my, for those of you guys who are wondering, Monica's one of my brand accelerator clients, and we're in the process of building out her brand and really taking her whole business to the next level. I'm super excited to be working with her. She's got an amazing mission, and I'm just so pumped for her. But this show is not about me. It's about you today. And so I want to have you on the show so that you can share this awesome story. So for those that don't know who Monica Kline is, let's go back from the beginning. How'd you get it? What industry are you in? How'd you get into the industry? And talk to us about that journey, coming up to 2018.
It's been a long road. It's been a long time coming, and I'm excited about launching and working with you. Let's see. I started in corporate America. I worked for a couple of great Fortune 500 companies. I was more so I'm a natural born salesperson, if you will. And I found myself in the world of corporate and high tech. And as great as the industry was, I wasn't fulfilled. I lacked that waking up in the morning, so excited. And, I worked for some big major names that look good on your resume. But I'm like, as you have shared, do you want to wake up at 40, 50 years old saying this is where you retired from and what you did, as great as it may be, and a great paycheck? Is that the life I want to live? So fast forward, I was fortunate enough to take somewhat of a sabbatical. And this is back in, 2001. And I researched and did my due diligence, and I stalked a company that was very female-centric in the beauty world. I wanted to be surrounded by impactful, powerful women and be able to travel. And so I stayed with them for about 14 years. I had a little break in between, and I wanted to explore doing things on my own. And just as luck would have it, they brought me back in. They offered me my same position, and I couldn't say no. The offer was too pretty to pass up. So, and it was a lot of international travel, and my goal at this point was to travel the world, see a lot more of what the world had to offer, which really has led me to where I am today. So fast forward, I'm living in LA. I'm born and raised in Southern California. Actually, I'm from Newport Beach. And it's a little bit of, people think it's a very privileged lifestyle there, but I worked hard. I worked my ass off to get where I was. And turn of events, I end up in New York City. And so I left that company, and I didn't know what I wanted to do. I'm in New York. Anything can happen there. And so I've been in New York for almost 4.5 years. And about 4 years ago, one of my mentors, and she was a peer, she was a colleague, she was a mentor, we were dear, dear friends. she saw me go through a lot in my career, and she was my number one cheerleader. She said, you need to have your first voice in everything you're doing. You are there supporting these large organizations. You are doing so much for so many, and you're losing sight of your personal identity. And in the beauty business, it's very cutthroat, as I'm sure we're seeing today with all these Me Too movement happening. But back then, when we were seeing it, I saw a lot of things that should not happen in the beauty industry, whether it's from modeling to endorsements to anything, just anything beauty related. And it was a great career, but I wanted to make a difference. And I did not feel I was making a difference with where I was and what I was doing. I knew there was more out there. So my girlfriend at this point, she had opened her own company, and she kept saying, let's go off and open an agency, and let's do, we're both from LA, we have the contacts. And it never happened. She got sick. I moved to New York. We were on different paths. She had been married. She had grown children, and I had the stars in my eyes about living in New York City. So I came here literally not really knowing what I was going to do and looking for jobs. And I said, I wasn't passionate about it. So this is how identity came to fruition. And then I researched a lot from there, and I found, I did like 2 years worth of research because I'm a bit of a perfectionist. And I found you, and I interviewed 3 different branding agencies, and you aligned with what my values were and my integrity. And I wanted somebody to help launch my brand, and everybody kept saying, throw something out there and put up a website, launch your social media. And I refused. My girlfriend, my mentor, Tammy, she just said, don't lose your identity. Do it the way you want to do it. And I stayed true to that. And that's why I probably should have really launched like 4 years ago, but I've taken the slow path, and I have no regrets for doing it in a slow, methodical, systematic way. I'm very methodical when it comes to launching, especially something as personal as your own brand and your own company.
I love it.
How we got to today, to identity.
I love it. I love it. I love it. And this mentor that you have, a lot of what you do today is dedicated to her.
Yes, and I will do. I'm a tough cookie, so I'm told. I'm very tenacious, but I do have a very emotional. I will do my best not to get emotional on this part. But so Tammy, through the years, she was very much a quiet person in the background of my life, and I would have private dinner parties at my home, and she was always a part of it. And there was just a very small group of those confidants that you have, that they cross the lines. They blur from your friend to your client to your colleague, and she was one of them. And all through the years, there was certain points in my career that I could not be as public with our friendship as I wanted to be. But she was a very well-known publicist in Los Angeles. She dealt with a lot of A-list Hollywood, and it was tough on occasion, but she was always there supporting me, mentoring me, giving me feedback on everything. And if it wasn't for her, I don't think my career would have gone the direction it did. So fast forward, I moved to New York, and every visit back to LA, I'd pop in, I'd visit, I'd stay with her. We would brainstorm about what I was going to do to make a difference. And at this point, her health took a turn for the worse. We're a couple of years apart, and I did not know. She withheld information from me. And I look back, and there's some days where you can get really angry, but I really cherish the times that we spent. And parting knowledge that she instilled in me. And she just said, you have voice, make a difference. Don't do what so many others are doing. We've seen what not to do. We've seen people that have led by bad examples. And we sat down, and we were actually laying in her bed because she was really sick at this point. And we just wrote out everything it is that we want to instill on not just women, but on some of the young girls. So with identity, when I manage talent, I'm not an agent. I'm not a publicist. I'm a brand manager. I manage women in the beauty lifestyle arena. And Tammy and I sat and we wrote down everything that we wanted to impart on these girls, and no matter what age. And so that was the birth of identity. So I honor her memory. Unfortunately, she passed away June 2015. And I immediately filed my LLC and opened my bank account, and I called her husband, and he is now one of my biggest cheerleaders. I talk to John all the time. I get beautiful notes of encouragement from him. It's like still hearing from Tammy, but through her husband. And it's a bit, I wish she were here to see it. My very first client I signed for identity, who just turned 13 last week. And so when I signed her, she was 10. And she's going big places. Her name is Sophia. She's an aspiring model, actress. And it's nice because that's how I feel the legacy of Tammy is living on through some of the clients that I've signed. So that's my inspiration and why I'm doing what I'm doing.
I love it. And that's, I made it such a point to bring that out because, people will connect with, like you said, the way we connected was by our values aligned. What I was doing was aligning with what you were doing. And that's how we connected. And we just, that consistent message that I kept putting out there kept resonating. Eventually you reached out. So, the reason why I want to start this episode out by sharing your why and sharing where all this came from is because I know people that are listening and watching are going to connect with it at some level. And so, I appreciate you sharing that story, as emotional as it was for you. And so I want to move on to the sort of the next frame, or the next phase of the show, because a lot of people are getting excited about building their identity, building their brand identity into this strong, powerful, organism. Because I look at brands as living organisms. They're not just businesses. What you put into your brand is what you're going to get out of your brand. And so, I see Victor here in Facebook. He's already got the question blaring. He says, how do I build a strong brand identity if what I do isn't sexy? I sell properly structured whole life insurance to business owners. So that's a tough one, Victor. There really isn't much sexiness to that. But I wanted to ask your opinion and your suggestion on what is it? Like, what creates and builds a strong brand identity?
It's rapport with your potential clients. It's with your network. It's where your values are based. As with working with me, I am, 3 years old. I don't have a website. I don't have social media. I don't advertise. I don't do any of these live things. I am all about the personal touch. And I'm happy to admit I have 15 thriving clients. How did I get those 15 thriving clients? My reputation. I'm a little bit aggressive sometimes, but I network like crazy, and I keep those relationships intact. And my group, my quote unquote tribe, as people would say, whether it's personal or business, I'm still always connecting with them, whether it's through an Instagram post about a travel or a restaurant, or I think there's a way to connect with everybody out there. And so I'm completely right now word of mouth. I'm excited and looking forward to see what's going to happen once you fully launch my brand. But I think in order to really, if it's life insurance or whatever that is, quote unquote, unsexy, it's relationship building. It's being constant. What is it, 6 or 7 times to touch somebody before you become memorable? I like to shorten that because I'm very impatient. I like to shorten that to 3 times. I want to touch somebody 3 times, and then I want them to remember me. I want to leave a lasting impression. And what is that? It's you're being personable. You're paying attention to what they're looking for. You're tapping into that, I don't want to say emotional sale, but that's what it's, human contact. And in today's world, I think that's gone away a lot. Yeah. And people still want to be touched. They still want the handwritten thank you note, or to pick the phone and make a phone call. And I think, especially, I represent some influencers who are just about behind their screen and their posts and what they're writing and their blogging. I still have that hands-on with everyone. And this is how I've been able to grow with zero. As a branding company, I've had zero branding out there for myself. And I'm able to grow because of that personal touch.
I love it. I love that. And to piggyback on that, I want to help Victor out as well by saying, how to build that brand identity is by definitely looking yourself in the mirror and asking yourself, how would I want to be communicated with? How would I want to be treated? What do I value as a great experience? Branding is not just the way your business looks. It's how your business feels to that person. And so when you're selling whole life insurance, that's a pretty touchy subject, right? Nobody really wants to talk about dying and what's going to happen after and who's going to be taken care of and so there's a lot of empathy there that I think Victor, if you apply to the folks that you're selling to, and instead of being on the opposite side of the table, but being on their side of the table, just by doing something that simple, by sitting next to your prospect versus sitting across from them, that goes a long way. Because listen, at the end of the day, there's a lot of folks that look at selling and they think that the client and the seller are like at battle with each other. And it really doesn't need to be that way. I always tell my clients, when you're positioning your brand, when you're positioning your business to your audience, you want to be looked at as the trusted advisor. You want to be looked at as the fiduciary. You want to be looked at as somebody that they could pick up the phone and call and feel like they could tell you anything, and you're gonna be there for them. So focusing on that and building that reputation, that connection, right, with your audience, that's one step to building an extremely strong brand identity. So I appreciate you saying that. So now it's 2018, and we are in the process of building out your brand and really bringing it to life and really bringing it live, if you will, and to the market online. And so who are the clients that you're typically working with now, and how are you providing value to them, with your identity management, brand management company?
Let's see. I have a very special niche. My clients are anybody from, so I say beauty, fashion, lifestyle. So who is that? That could be, my clients range today from 8 years old to 60 years old. So let's just take my 60-year-old. She's a travel influencer, very philanthropic. And right now the campaign we're working on is for all of her philanthropy. She's unfortunately had some closest people to her that she's lost. She's very passionate, and she wants to turn this into something that will benefit the charities that she supports. So that's her brand. My youngest client is 8 years old. She is an aspiring actress, dancer, singer. She's amazing. I signed her when she was 7, and we've been working together for almost a little over a year now. And I love working with these young talent. They're sponges, and I can teach them so much because of my history, my resume, if you will. So influencers, bloggers, celebrity chefs, TV anchors, anybody that's in the beauty, fashion designers, models, anything in that arena. That's who I represent. That's my background. That's my knowledge. I'm going on, I hate to admit, I think 20 years so of being in this type of industry. And some days I feel like it's aged me, and some days I'm so grateful. I have an amazing, diverse group of clients in this industry. And you want to go to a fashion show or get into the best restaurant, those are my clients. That's who I service. It's usually a personal brand that I am building for them. And it's somebody that's wants to be in the spotlight. So there's a bit of an ego, but I don't deal with egos. My clients are real. They're people. They're humans. They're down to earth. They're compassionate. And that's the thing in doing all the things in the past that I knew weren't the right things. I knew who I wanted to work with. I knew my demographic. And fortunately, I was at least old enough to know better and to learn to say no to certain people that they weren't a good match.
Mm-hmm.
So I have amazing 15 clients right now that I'm so happy to work with. But they're more than clients. They become family and friends. They're an extension of you because you get those late night phone calls if there's something going on with the family. And it has nothing to do with building their brand, but I need to know those things. I need to know everything. It's all encompassing. It is not just, okay, we're focused on this and what's the next modeling job or the next endorsement. I cross the lines and blur the lines all the time. And some people may think that may be unethical. But when you represent clients of this stature, it's not. It's just it's part of the trade.
Yeah, it's like you become part of them. I mean, like when I'm building brands for my clients, I'm immersing myself into their business. I need to know everything from up to down to left to right to understand and feel what it is that they're going through, because that's going to give me the creative and my team's the creative to really take what it is that's in your head and make it a reality. And so what I want to dive into next is, and I love that you work with personal brands, because I look at my roster and a majority of my client roster are personal brands as well. And my question is, from your perspective, what are some of the challenges that these folks are facing? And how do you help them overcome those challenges?
That's a good one. It's funny because I've been really thinking about this since our last conversation. I feel they come to me, again, I touched on the personal part, but because of my experience and I'm able to help them with their challenges due to who I know and how I know them and the relationship building that I've done. So if they have a challenge, they could seek out. There's so many great brand managers out there. There's so many great agents out there, but they're coming to me to be exposed to, I'm not a millennial, I'm starting out my career, and they get that. And that's when they bond with me at that level, that's where I can help them overcome whatever those challenges are. I'm not going to say that I am a miracle maker, but I definitely have pulled some rabbits out of the hat on a few occasions. So this is where I think they want somebody more experienced with that kind of a database. That's why they end up signing with me to avoid or divert what that challenge may be with somebody just starting out. So I think that's the biggest reason why. If they have a challenge, that's why they're working with me.
I see. So is it more of a, like, they don't know how to break into the industry that they want to penetrate?
Yes, it is, very much. Or they don't know how to break into it or the training per se. And I do. The first 2 levels of what I offer is complete training. I have a great team of specialists I work with in every area. And so I bring that entire team in to sign them up for trainings, and that's where they start with me. So I want they're well-versed on what they're trying to break into or get reacquainted with what they want to get back into.
And so for those that are looking to build a strong personal brand and they're looking for some tips, every episode, and then every guest I have on the show, I want them to sort of deliver, 3 nuggets, 3 take homes that they can work on immediately or apply immediately. So when you do this training with your clients, like what are 3 biggies? What are 3 big takeaways that you share with them and that you could share with us today to help them sort of get their identity rolling in the right direction?
Education. That's the first thing. I want them to be well-versed. The first part of the training, day 1, we spend about 4 hours educating them as to what the basics are. What is an agent versus a manager versus a publicist in the beauty, fashion, lifestyle arena? And then from there, I want to inspire them. I want to teach them what's your personal brand? Tell me who you want to be and what you want to do and why you want to do this. I want to get inside their head to develop what that is. I mean, this, there's a complete psychology behind this. And I really break it down and map it out. I'm very systematic as well. So there is, 10 steps. We come up with what their personal mission statement is. There is, if they want to be a model, why? It's an extremely competitive industry. Why do they want to break into it? What makes them different? So I educate, I inspire, and then our goal is to influence whoever their target demographic is. So for instance, I have a teenage client, and she really relates to the Southern California surf skate lifestyle, and we want to penetrate that. So how do you become an influencer in that industry in today's world? It's not marketing, it's not advertorials, it is social media, it's your YouTube, it's what are we going to do to keep you on the cutting edge? So these are all the things that I work with my clients on, and that is broken into a very in-depth training. And like I said, it starts at the basics and it works its way all the way up. So that's, I believe in educating them. And I think too many don't invest in themselves to be able to launch their brand. They think they can become an overnight sensation or be discovered on the street. And unfortunately, it's not that simple anymore. No. Maybe the 70s or 80s, but it's not that marketplace. Social media has changed the game. And they need to stay on top of what that is in order to be noticed or recognized in today's world.
Yeah, and I want to add to that. I think that's very important to stay in front of the trends or stay on trend and market and be market in the age that you're marketing in. Like, I see so many, offline brands and, mom and pops and brick and mortars that they're still marketing like it's 1998, right? And they're wondering why they're not getting the attention that they need, right, to stay in business, right? But the one thing that I want to piggyback on what you were saying is in regards to getting on social media and influencing who it is that they want to become part of, that I want to say relevancy plays a huge, huge role here. Like if you're not communicating a relevant like connection between your audience and your brand, there's going to be a huge disconnect there. And so, how do you become relevant, right? How do you stay relevant? I see a lot of baby boomers struggling now, trying to speak to the millennials because they just don't understand the language. They don't understand the mentality. And I have to tell you, you really have to start paying attention to relevancy. And how do you become relevant? Well, you study them. Yep. You research them. You understand why they do what they do, when they do what they do, with who they do it with. Like I just said it on a recent podcast. I said 70% of my time is on research, looking at what entrepreneurs truly want. Yes. What business owners are truly challenging or what their challenges truly are, and there's a common denominator there, as an entrepreneur, both of us, we want more time. We want more clients, we want more free time. You know what I mean? We want everything. And so how do we get that? Because does somebody wake up one day and say, I'm going to hire a branding agency today?
No.
They don't wake up and say that. So, no. I had to learn that the hard way when my business started to tank. I was like, well, what are they waking up asking for? And it was, they want to hire the right people, all these different indirect things that I could help them with, but I wasn't explaining it right. I wasn't being relevant enough for them to say, you know what, I should pay attention to that Henry guy because he's actually, I think he's onto something. I think he's like hiding underneath my bed because he's speaking to what it is that I'm thinking every day. When you start to connect with your audience that way, the game's going to change. And so that's why when you watch my copywriter go to town on your work, and you start to read what it is that he is creating for you based on, the intake forms that you're filling out for me now, you're going to see all of that transpire and you're going to see how that connects. That's why I was stressing to you, the other day, like we really got to put a lot of emphasis into these copywriting intake forms, because my copywriter needs to get juiced. He needs to get fired up. He needs to feel like he is like inside. Yeah, exactly. And so when he gets intake forms that are filled out like in depth, he's like, I could, watch what happens. And so, and that's, and he's trying to relate. He's trying to create that relevancy between what it is that you do, that problem that you solve, and the problems that they're facing every single day. You get that connection. It's a home run. And I'm a big fan of Gary Vaynerchuk, and he talks about how he day trades attention. Well, in 2018, it's all about attention. If you don't have your audience's attention, you don't have a business and you don't have a brand. So, in education, inspiring, and influencing, I love it. I think it's a must. And if you don't have this implemented inside of your business right now, you better, because you're going to have a hard time getting to the next level and getting through the next few years, because as technology increases and improves and competition becomes more thick, like, what are you going to do?
Exactly. The whole goal of my 3 major things to touch with every client is, as a woman, as a mother, as a daughter, I want to leave a legacy. I have things I want to accomplish personally and professionally. I want every one of my clients, I want to tap into what that means to them. And so this is where their brand really stands out. I want them to be different. I want to see what the end result is going to be. Whether it's my 8-year-old or my 60-year-old, what's your legacy? What do you want to leave to your family, your friends, whoever that may be? That's like one of the most important things. Part of when I lost my mentor, Tammy, I lost my mom shortly thereafter, within several months of that. And I think 2 of the most important women in my life, and losing them taught me to start to be, I've kind of never really been very fear-based, but that really drove me to the point of, I have nothing to lose. Just go for it. And what legacy do I want to leave when I'm not here anymore? And so that's what I really convey to my clients. Like, what is it? What do you want to be known for? What do you want to be remembered for? And to me, that's a sign of a good life, right?
Yeah, I totally agree. And I feel like, we can't take anything with us when we leave, right? So like, why not create something for, our children, or for a community, a tribe, hundreds and thousands of people to remember us by? Like, listen, we're only on this planet for 2 minutes when you look at the big picture.
Exactly.
And so how do you want to be remembered? Because, at the end of the day, it is what it is. And people like to make mountains out of molehills all the time. And I always try to say, I did an Instagram post I found on one of the pages that I follow, and it was like the 5x5 rule.
Huh?
And basically he said, if I got to read it. Hold on. If
it doesn't,
it's right. Yeah. Let me see.
5 years.
Yeah. 5x5. Yeah. If it's not going to matter in 5 years, don't spend more than 5 minutes being upset by it.
Yes.
I just think that's brilliant. And so at the end of the day, you're building this legacy. But what inspires me about you is that you're building your own thing, but your clients, you're instilling this into each and every one of your clients, and they're getting out there and inspiring and others. And that turns into a web. That turns into like a compound effect. That turns into this massive movement, really, of and like the young ones that you bring on board, they're good. They're our future.
Yes.
And they have a hell of a mentor behind them. So that's awesome that what you're doing. And I really appreciate you coming on the show today and just sharing your 20 plus years experience in the industry and really providing that value to us, because at the end of the day, when we think brand identity, I think a lot of us think logo, they think website, they think, business cards and all of that stuff, but it's truly the feeling that you leave behind and what is it that they say about you when you're not in the room?
Exactly. It's exactly what it is.
Yeah. So, any parting words?
Be authentic, be yourself. That's my number one thing. I think in all my years in trying to conform to what people thought or would want you to be, I learned the hard way on a lot of those things. So now it's all about humility and being authentic, because you don't know who's watching. Mm-hmm. And that is what is going to attract your next client when you don't even realize it.
Yeah. I'm going to add to that. You never know who you're inspiring either.
Yes, true.
So get out there, put your best foot forward, do your best. And you know what? Try not to care too much about what other people think. It's smart to take feedback, and it's smart to take, suggestion, as long as it's valid. You know what I mean? So ask yourself, and I want to leave. This is so recent. I had a coaching call with my mentor yesterday, and he said to me, he said, he's now been with me for a while now, and he said, you're like an emotional roller coaster. He's like, you got a lot of energy, and he's like, I got to help you channel that.
Okay.
And he said, I want you to ask yourself these 3 questions. The next time you start to get fired up or you start to feel like you're down in the dumps, he said, if somebody says something to you, you want to ask yourself first, is it fact or is this an opinion? The second question you want to ask yourself is what I'm hearing going to build confidence in me and courage, or is it going to make me feel insecure? Okay. And then the third question is this information going to help me or hurt me? And very quickly, you will find yourself, and I started doing it immediately, you're going to find yourself reacting a lot differently to what happens to you.
Yes.
Than not, but not asking yourself these 3 questions. And because I have a tendency, maybe I get this from my wife, but I have a tendency to react quickly, and when you pause and you ask yourself those 3 questions, it's amazing what the outcome is, how you respond. And, it's not what happens to you at the end of the day, it's how you respond.
Absolutely.
So anyway, Monica, it's a pleasure. It's a late Friday afternoon. We got some happy hour to hit. So thank you so much for coming on the show today and being part of it. And again, sharing your knowledge and wisdom. And I wish you nothing but the best of luck in the future. And I'm here behind you every step of the way. I can't wait to launch your brand in the next few weeks and really guide you through the process and watch you grow, because you are a force. You are a force, and the world needs to see more of Monica Kline. So thanks again.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I respect and admire you. You're helping me do great things. I appreciate it.
Oh, thank you. So guys, real quick, if you haven't joined the Facebook group, the Brand Doctors Hangout, head over there right now and go check that out. There's a great group of entrepreneurs in there, all helping each other build each other's business. And if you haven't subscribed or told a friend or a colleague about this podcast yet, please do. And I totally appreciate it up front. Thanks again for listening. I'm here on a mission, and I am not leaving until I inspire all of you guys to build a strong brand. And I will do everything I possibly can to give you the strategies to do that, to help you live the life of your dreams and build the business that you want to build. So have an awesome day, guys, and I'll catch you on the next episode. Talk soon.
You've been listening to the Brand Doctor Podcast with Henry Kaminski Jr. To get your appointment with the doctor, visit Brand Audit at www.uniquedesignz.net.